Yo guys, how's everyone doing? This is your guy Assassin Dave. Welcome to this deep analysis of the best teams in the world for Honor of Kings compared to the KPL region best teams. Now this is going to be quite interesting because we're watching the grand final match of the KPL, the most recent season, as well as the match that happened in the MKL spring season 2025 between BSE and Nova Esports. Blackshoe Esports was the champion, I think, in 2024, right, for Honor of King Championship. And you have Nova Esports, who was the champion for the S3 Invitational. So the titles really speak for themselves. These are two of the strongest teams in the world. Malaysia region will also have 3 teams going to EWC. This upcoming EWC, KWC should I say, right? King World Cup. I'm really excited for that. And then 3 teams versus, I think, 3 teams coming from the Chinese region. It's also going to be quite exciting. Now, this will serve as a sneak peek of what's about to happen. Also, I think this will be helpful to a lot of teams globally. You know, what can you work on to improve? What are the things that KPL teams do so well that make them such a force to be reckoned with? So without further ado, guys, I'm gonna dissect this video into 4 different comparison categories. Number 1 is gonna be early game execution, laning phase, I would say, right? Another thing, the second part is objective siege. Especially speaking, we're talking about jungle invade, right? Because there are a lot of jungle invading going back and forth based on the team dynamic, the draft. And jungle monster is actually one of the major objectives in Honor of King. A lot of people underlook how important it is because that serves a reason. And jungle monsters are closer to the tower. So if you take jungle monster, if you have the lead using that team fight, that can transition, that can convert into a tower siege from the side lanes or the mid lane. So jungle, I would say the objective siege is very, very important. The next category is tower push, right? Because tower push is probably the most important. How do team execute pushing towers? This will lead into the victory of the game, right? The tier 1, tier 2 into the high ground towers, and then your base crystal. Very, very important to compare that category. Last but not least is team fight execution. My favorite category, in my opinion, because I'm more of a clashing type of viewer. I like exciting matches. I like a lot of clashes. Obviously, if you have been a fan for Honor of King Pro League from the mainland region, you probably noticed that most of the fights in China are what we call objective-based fights. So there are very little kills, all across the map. And today we're gonna take a look of the comparison. I think the global region have learned really well on objective-based team fights. Still, there are a lot of things that I think the region can improve on, to work on, to be even better. So without further ado, guys, let's dive into the first category, which is early game execution, early game laning phase. Now, first of all, in the early game, what I noticed that for the international region, specifically speaking, in MKL, there's a lot more one-on-ones in lane, a lot more trading, one-on-one showing off who's better laner. And then, which is exciting to watch actually, because a lot more proactive. I would just say they're proactive in different ways compared to KPL, right? In KPL, there's a lot less trading in lane. There's less confrontation. If one side realize, okay, they're weaker in lane compared to the other side, they will most likely just back away from certain objectives and wait for an opportunity just to clear the minion wave or just to get the last hit on the minion and quickly retreat back. There are much less confrontations compared to MKL. So I'll show you some examples right here. Now, what you're seeing right here right now is the match between BSE and Nova, right? As I mentioned, you can see right now, both sides backed away in the mid lane. Yuhuan was in the mid lane bush, and notice that Yuhuan was in this bush, right? Normally you can poke and do some damage, but look at what this Mai does, right? Immediately goes in, use the entire kit, and Yuhuan almost died. There's very little reason to be in that bush, but you will see a lot of this one-on-one trading. Same as the top side, for both side clash laner. You will see there are a lot more clash between Dharma. Look at this, right? Again, there's minion waves on top. Fighting with minion wave available on the map is quite risky, because if Dharma dies here or Xuan dies here on the Guan Yu, it's gonna be quite sad for either side losing a lane. Lane is very, very important. In fact, if you understand Chinese and listen to KPL casters, just losing a cannon is something that worth noting for the casters, right? Like for the pro player analyst, because this is the one thing I like about King Pro League analyst desk. they frequently invite pro players who are very, very knowledgeable, who have years upon years of experience in Honor of King competing in the highest level of tournament. They will go analyze the match and they will mention that, okay, this trade put Dharma low or whatnot, and he's gonna lose that cannon. And this is actually quite interesting because there's very little chance that you mention that in a global scene for now, because there's a lot more trading. It's more exciting just to watch them fight. And right here, you see the same example, right? Both sides committed their skills. Well, Dharma still has his ultimate, but there's a lot more trading. Xuan committed his ultimate because you notice that Xiang is quite close to the tier 1 tower. And now Xiang have to go back and get the HP. There are a lot more HP trading, I would say, because a lot of skills being committed. This is just something that you will notice, but same thing. Let's take a look at a King Pro League, right? This is the King Pro League laning situation. You will notice that, yes, there's a mid lane and both sides are just siege in mid lane. But for DRG, which is the grand final team, they notice that, okay, enemy team have 4 people, AG has 4 people in the mid lane. They don't even fight, they don't even get closer to the lane. They just back away and they just clean the lane a little bit later. Same as top side, you can notice right here that early on the top side, he simply just focuses on wave clear, a little bit of poke, and quickly gets away. There's not too much, I would say, aggressive trading or confrontation, on each side. Same on the opposite side, right? There's very little trading. Dharma didn't really want to engage onto the channel every time he sees him. But that's not something that we saw from BSC versus Nova, right? You notice how just by seeing this Yu Huang in the mid lane, it's like, okay, that's it. All right, you have gone too far. I'm gonna go fight. Again, this is very, very exciting because if he gets the kill, that's first blood. And as a caster, love that, right? We love that type of stuff. If I see like aggressive fighting, that's something I like to watch. So what do y'all guys think, guys? Do you prefer a more exciting trading mechanic, or do you prefer like more of a passive but more objective-based trading mechanics, right? I think both are okay, to be honest. I don't think one is better or the worse. Because end of the day, the result's the same. Nothing really happened. It's just that there are a lot more possibilities with MKL, right? Because a lot more trading happening. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is objective siege. When I watch MKL, I noticed a trend that for every objective that you try to invade, or the team try to invade, they're usually resulting in like head-on fights, straight up just large-scale team fights. That's mostly resulted by players overextending their position, where their teammates then will have to follow up to save them, to carry them out of the team fight, carry them out of the position, which results in a team fight, or the other way around. So there are many different scenarios, but the fundamental root is when you're trying to invade in a situation, either the team's not ready, they're not doing the same thing, or sometimes there's players overextending. Where if you look at KPL teams, or certainly from the grand final teams that we watch, they focus on can or cannot, and most importantly, the objective itself, which means like, if I'm gonna go for the blue buff, let's have the team set up where we get the blue and let's back out, right? Let's not fight or try to seek for fight. The goal is very, very simple, which is walk in, get our stuff, and get out, right? It's more of like a stealing resources type of mini game, So that's the difference. Again, I think the MKL is just more exciting because a lot more team fight, but obviously the result speaks for itself. So let's take a look at some examples one more time. In this scenario right here, on I think this is Shadow Tyrant, and there is a team fight happening here because the Shadow Tyrant started using the skills. Xiang comes in, didn't get to kill onto Muchi. Oh, actually getting a kill onto Muchi. I'll say Muchi, either way, right? Doing some damage here, and now you can see that all of a sudden you have a large scale team fight that collapsed because of objective, because of the Shadow Tyrant. But the Shadow Tyrant team fight is kind of chaotic, and we're going to analyze team fight in a little bit. If you'll notice right here, there's a lot of disconnect among the teams, right? Right here, when there's opportunity for Guan Yu to go in here, he didn't actually comes in with his ultimate because he simply didn't have it. He didn't even have the skill. Whereas the Tyrant is not putting a position where it's to the advantage of the side of Nova. If Nova want to do this Tyrant, it would make more sense to pull this Tyrant a little bit closer to the bottom side or to the middle, further away from both entries. This way, they can easily back away to their blue side jungle and give Guan Yu more opportunity to come in, right? To push enemy and maybe make a play. But instead, this Tyrant, or if they want to pull in this position, it would be better for all the team players to move closer to the top side of the map to the escape path directly to the tier 1 tower. They don't have the tier 1 tower, but they can still move back to the blue side jungle from this entryway. This way, their entire team is closer together. But you can notice from this team fight here, there's a lot of separation. Yes, the entire team moved towards the bottom side, which is a little bit further. Now Guan Yu's on top trying to engage. Now you can see Musi is on the bottom side, further away from the Mai Shiranui, and the support is not even there to help, right? Zhang Fei is all the way on the top side. Try to steal the Tyrant, which he did. The more interesting thing is he actually ended up stealing the Tyrant, but at what cost, right? Musi is left alone, and he got dove them a lot, quite often. And right here, he forced out, Wei Pit was forced out the ultimate. Again, nothing happened. It was just committing of skills. The major point I want to talk about is after this objective, after the major clash, now Nova, okay, notice, okay, we have shred some HP from the other side. Some people are recalling. Let's go steal the blue buff. But you notice it's not a fully aligned kind of motion, right? Guan Yu is very, very healthy. He could have come here and get some pressure onto Mukbang King, right, on Luna. But he decided to go back to lane and then now leaving like 2 people here because Zhang Fei is not even helping. Zhang Fei was recalling the bush, which basically just lets CY to die, invading the blue buff. And that's what I was talking about. There's frequent overextension, and then there's more. Also on top of it, there's like more people doing 2 different things, right? Like instead of doing one thing at a time. Let me show you one more example. All right, guys, let's take a look at a second example of BSC try to steal the blue buff at the same time shredding the bottom tier 2 tower. Now take a look at the position of everyone on the map. If you look at the mini map right now, it's a pretty widespread positioning with the carry being kind of far away from Diaochan, right, from the support. So if JR get caught here, not saying that he will, but if he get caught here, there's very little support that his team can give. Now, I will analyze more in the teamfight segment about the positioning itself, but you can see right now, JR is quite separated, right? And if the goal is trying to invade the blue buff, he shouldn't be in this position. After pressuring the lane in, he could have taken a route back, but instead he's still in this position where he cannot support the team. Because right now, if there's a major teamfight collapsing right here, JR is separated, right? He can't really walk in really closely because Zhang Fei is standing right next to him along with Channel. So if you walk too close to this little entryway, he will get poked and end up dying, because Channel can chase very, very easily, plus the slow from the ultimate. So right now, you have the invade coming in, 2 versus 4, right? This is extremely dangerous. Obviously, Da Qiao recalled back with the teleportation, and she's not gonna come back. If she comes back, she's gonna be suiciding. So she's not coming back. This is a 2v4 jungle steal, which is extremely dangerous. If there's more, I think there's a draft issue in this specific game, or I would just say Mukbang King with a Luna pick is just really good, right? Because not too many people can stop him, except for, let's say, Xuan on Guan Yu. But then even then, right, it's not really a major threat to someone like Luna, especially a proficient Luna player. So it's just one of those, but analyze the position itself. This is actually a really risky situation. You will very not frequently find this in a King Pro League, right? Let's take a look at this one. This is invade coming from King Pro League onto the red buff, right? The DRG in the mid lane after wave is cleared. Let's take a look, right? First, there's a setup. You have Duen coming directly to the jungle because Duen is really strong early game. And for AG side, they're not really strong. And why do I pick out this game, by the way? Because in mainland China, the Honor of King has many different, I would say many more heroes than the global version still, right? So this game just so happened that every single character here is available in the global server. So I'm really excited about that. I was like, okay, well, everybody understand what every single hero does. Perfect. If you don't understand, you can go watch our tutorial, which is available in our channel, right? Just go search the hero you want to watch. I think like a lot of the great characters, most popular characters are already there. Make tutorial takes a lot of time. Make sure to smash like, subscribe, and share this video with your friend. And if you haven't, use a 20%, use the link in description or the QR code on screen to get 20% extra token so you can purchase any skins or the events or the pass you want in the game. A lot of great series are now being sold. So let's take a look. Because Duen invaded the little the boar, and he noticed the red buff's coming up in 6 seconds, right? Mid lane is still here. So Zhongyi already lost, well, I wouldn't say the Chinese name actually. Let me just say Agudo already lost the boar. So decided to take the mid lane wave, which gave Duen the opportunity to invade. And let's take a look at how this invade happened, right? You have the entire side of DRG in position. just to make sure that there's very little resistance to defend that. At the same time, you don't have two teams doing, one team doing two different things, right? The side of AG is ready to defend as well. It's just there's no major clashes because for the side of DRG, they just want to get the red buff. Yixing send it an ultimate, zone enemy team away, and then you have Dun stealing the red buff and using the ultimate to escape as well. So they already achieved their objective. But I'll show you something else, right? Right after that, you have entire set of AG already ready in the mid lane, and they notice that DRG is already retreated. So they want to take the opportunity to push mid and shred the health just a little bit. And that's exactly what they did here. With Ziya, by the way, Ziya's ultimate does damage to towers. And you will notice they frequently does this, like just many different times. And now we'll go into the next subject, which is tower push, which we'll analyze in details. But just watch this, right? They come here, mostly just shredding health, like doing a trade of skills, find the opportunity. If they can't find it, here, you see it, they do a damage to Dun, get him low, but Dun is very, very tanky. So the entire set of AG doesn't really overextend, it just backs away. But right after that, they goes for the counter invade, right? After shredding the Dun's HP, knowing that Dun cannot contest it further, especially if Dun's passive already procced. Dun's tanky because when you drop to 50% health, you get this passive where every time you use your skill, you get regeneration, insane amount of regeneration, right? So they know that because it just procced the passive. And right after that, they decided to go counter invade. Just very, very heavily focused on one thing at a time, And again, when they're doing that, the entire team is surrounded. They know what to do. They get the boar, and this invading boar is not a very risky move, right? So the team is around 3 people invading the buff and invading the boar, and it goes away. So that's a major difference. I would say when I watch a lot of the MKL matches, I notice there's overextension when they're trying to steal a buff. Or most important thing is one team doing two things, where that thing doesn't really exist in KPL. Obviously, KPL existed for a lot longer, so the players are a lot more disciplined. And I think that also is a factor of communication. If everybody's aligned on the goal of the jungler or the person who's carrying the macro call, I think this kind of mistake will happen a lot less. Which is something that, all the teams from global region can work on to give us a real fight in the upcoming KWC. Now, let's talk about one of the most important subject, which is tower push. Tower push is probably one of the most difficult thing. I would say it's an art in Honor of Kings, right? If you understand tower push as a team, you can really make a plan, because then it's just all about executing it over and over again. How to take the bottom tier 1 tower, how to take the top tier 1 tower, mid tier 1 tower. It's all about just executing the same strategy that you have mastered over and over again. Now, let's first take a look at BSC versus Nova and how Nova decided to take the mid tier 1 tower, right? Now, you notice the rotation happened just slightly too early, right? Because you will notice that they want to take the mid tier 1 tower. That's why I rotated mid. But the hindsight is 50-50, right? We know this now because we're watching it from behind the scene. But if you look at for the players when they're playing at the moment, there is a minion wave. That's the call. There's a minion wave clashing on the bottom side, right? Right about here. And if there's a minion wave clashing on the bottom side, there's no reason to rotate towards mid and just give up this tower or give up this minion wave. Because if you do that, what will happen is, notice what BSC did, right? Like, oh, really? Do we have channel the entire team going towards the mid? Bottom tower is free then? Okay, let me just defend mid and then get bottom tower for free. This is something that you will never see happen in KPL, right? Because every rotation have to have a foundation. The foundation is proper wave management. If there's no lane if there's no pressure in the lane, that laner wouldn't rotate. It's usually what kind of resource you need to help defend that lane or clean that lane ahead of time, and then the strategy start from there. The first step of a macro rotation to push a tower usually starts from the laner having the prio in that lane. Doesn't matter how that happens. If they send another person to help cut the lane, clean the lane ahead of time, or send more people to cut the lane, if they know they're ahead, and then rotate to mid to pressure mid, right? Or the other way, or if they already killed a side laner and they know that nobody's pushing that, or they got the person low, another person is recalling, no one is pushing that side lane, they can rotate ahead of time. But it has to happen with a foundation, which is the lane has already been pushed. But if you notice in this situation, the lane barely just, is coming. And the players should know this, right? So there's for sure a macro mistake to rotate towards mid to call the mid lane push when the side lane is available. Both side lanes available. Because there's barely anything you can get from mid. Mid lane is one of the hardest tower to push. It's usually the last tower to push. But very rarely do you get to push mid lane first. It's usually when you get like a major team fight win in the early game. Sometimes you get lucky and then you just get a major team fight win. There's lane still available and then you take mid lane tower. But that rarely happens because in every KPL team fights, or I would say majority, I would say in every, all the lanes are usually already cleared. So you rarely see a team fight happen because there's, and there's still wave there, which resulted in, team taking tower for free. All right, nonetheless, let's take a look at this mid lane push right here. You have the wave coming in and Guan is looking to flank from the side. Obviously, Musan can try to cut the lane. This is what I mean by mid lane is the hardest lane to push, right? Because it's easily defended. It's shortest lane, everybody can rotate to it pretty fast. Look how fast the wave got cleared. And on top of the fact that you have wave pit using or committing ultimate way too early. There's no reason for this, right? Because mid lane tower is really hard to push. It's very rare that you use your skills, commit this many skills in the mid lane for the mid lane tier 1. Not to mention there's no minion waves on top of it. So you can see, let's check it out one more time, right? If you notice at this point, the minion wave is this much HP, the call should just be back away. But obviously, I think that's a communication issue. There need to be a commanding voice in the team that tells the player it's time to back away, go back to bot, go back to lane, because top lane, Guan Yu is losing a whole lane. Bottom lane, not only did they lose a lane, they also lost a tower. So this is for sure a macro mistake coming out from Nova's side. And then on top of it, Wave Pit uses ultimate, which eventually resulted in him not being able to fight the next invade. That's why, by the way, BSC invaded, because Guan Yu used the ultimate. And this ties to the previous scenario that we mentioned regarding the objective siege. But let's take a look at how KPL execute tower push, right? Let's show the first example right here. The first example, you notice that there is a Tyrant fight on the bottom side. On the bottom side of the team fight. Dharma already gets away. The whole point is to get this objective. Dharma just serves as a ward to get some vision. After vision is secured, that's good enough. He didn't have to go in or whatnot, just gets away. And immediately, notice that AG, after shredding the health a little bit because of Ziya's poke, 1-2 poke plus ultimate, they immediately move towards mid lane, quickly clear the wave to make sure the minion wave doesn't meet in the middle. It meets towards the enemy tower. Kind of like how you steal tower with Milady. You can watch our tutorial on Milady, and that goes quite a bit. So right after that, you can see you have Ziya throwing the ultimate towards a tower to poke. You have the marksman, a channel, stay on the side to poke as well, trying to find the opportunity to push a tower. But they were not rushed. It's let's push. If we see an opportunity to push a little bit more, we can shred a little bit more. If I don't see an opportunity, we're just gonna back away, right? Yixing stayed alive because of the passive of Yixing, right? Where he has immortality, the invincibility for like half a second. But other than that, even if they killed Yixing, they still wouldn't push because there's no more minion waves. It's just throwing the skill. Right after the skill is thrown, after the poke to tower, they back away. And you will notice the team doing this very, very often. They do this over and over again, leveraging the skill 1 from the Panda, right? With Panda, it was Agudo, as well as Ziya, right? Ziya's ultimate. They constantly comes in, shred the health, and rotate towards other lane and try to get other towers. And this is something that happened very, very often from AG as well as DRG. And that's something that I noticed, right? Better lane management. Just because they try to take mid lane tower doesn't mean they lose the side lane tower along with it. There's a lot more rotation. There's a lot more frequent poking. I would say shredding. It's not a shred, I would say. It's more of just poking and then chipping away the tower's health. That's a better word, right? Because a little bit at a time. It was never a rush, it was just a little bit at a time. So that's something that you can learn. And then this is a perfect example on the high ground tower push, right? Let's take a look at the bottom side. Right after AG got advantage, this is how they push the high ground tower. You have entire four formation. This is a 4-1 formation, by the way. Now we're not gonna get into the macro strategy here from KPL, but it's most frequent strategy we see macro. I would say arrangement is 4+1. Yeah, 4 people pushing on one side and 1 person getting vision on the other side, and that's usually the clash laner, right? So in this case, Byron is on the side getting vision to make sure no one flanks, and he's also trying to pressure mid lane when he has opportunity. Whereas the other 4 players are now just pressuring the bottom tier 2 tower. Leveraging this Vanguard, they're able to get it pretty fast. You can see mid lane, Byron makes sure they also send the Shadow Vanguard on the top side. Right, like this. So this way you can be like, pushing quite a bit. This serves as like a almost a 6th person on the team now to push on the top side. So you can see Dharma have to go there and defend it so don't lose this tower. But because of the action, because of the rotation, what happens is you all of a sudden have a 4 versus a 4 situation on the bottom side, and Byron now have a free pressure on the mid lane. So you still constantly have 2 pressure on 2 other side. Now look at Byron. He doesn't really push the tower, clears the wave, and then he quickly rotates towards the bottom side to form a 5 versus 4 situation. So this way they can pressure lane even faster. Now again, all they're doing is slowly chipping away the tower. They understand they have Agudor skill 1, they understand they have Zia's ultimate, they have Channel's ultimate. The whole thing that they're doing here is just chipping away tower health, one little bit at a time. And then immediately after bottom, they're not committing too many skills, just chipping away the health, right? Because they have the comp to do that. Look at this, right? You throw skill 1, throw Agudor's ultimate to continue chip away, and right after the Vanguard comes in, they're gonna do the same thing over again. You know, you have Vanguard in the front, even without a Vanguard. Because of Agudor's skill 1, you can watch our Agudor guide after the rework, by the way. They just keep on using the skill 1, have the boar, have everything wolf, stand in the front, tank the tower shots, and the rest of everybody else just start hitting the tower, you know? They don't need a lot of skills, they just keep on shredding the health. Immediately after that, look at the rotation. They come to the top tier 2 and almost force the top tier 2 down, but it's mostly just to clean topside entire resources and then wait for the mid wave to crash and get top 2 tower. And then the same thing happens again. They go to the top high ground tower and start shredding the top health. It's just like a little bit at a time, right? There's no minion wave here. It's just like skill 1 of Agudor, and then you have channel skills, you have Zia skills, everybody's shredding the health of the HP of the tower. This is the composition that KPL is going for in this tower pushing strategy, and it's working out tremendously. Again, the difference between King Pro League and then MKL is what I saw here, is King Pro League, they're better management on skills. It's mostly this, and a very little commitment on pushing objective. Because towers pushing is very, very difficult. So they just take it one at a time. You know, chip a little bit, rotate back and chip a little bit. High frequent rotation as well as better skill management and then chipping away the health. Where compared to, you know, MKL teams, I noticed a lot of commitment from both sides of the teams, which can easily result in a lot of mistakes. And that's the major difference. So if you're a team watching this, that's something you can work on for sure, right? Go shred the health and leverage the macro, the pressure you have in that lane to go to the other lane, you know, chip that tower away and then come back to mid and do the same thing and then go back to farm, because then your jungle timer comes out. So very, very methodical from the KPL teams, and I hope all the teams learn the same. I'll make sure that you have your silent macro taken care of before you rotate for the mid lane tower. All right, guys, the most exciting element, I would say team fight between MKL or the top teams of global region compared to KPL, right? Because MKL actually represent most competitive region right now for global Honor of Kings. You know, you have Philippine Pro League, you have the Indonesia Pro League for the PKL, the IKL, right? I think MKL obviously secured 2 international championship at this point, being one of the strongest region. Definitely earned that spot to say like this region is one of the most competitive at the moment, right? What we'd like to see is Philippines, Indonesia, and potentially other regions take the crown, right? Because I know a top contender, OG, coming up, right? They almost beat all the teams. I'm also a big fan of Nongshan because they almost won the championship. They were the 2nd runner-up in the last S3. And Nongshan has some really good players, so really handsome-looking players as well. So looking forward to see them EWC. I have a lot of bets on them. Now let's come to the team fight comparison between MKL and KPL, right? Let's take a look at this team fight, starting from MKL first again. So look at over here, the objective, I mean, I wouldn't say objective. First of all, I don't know why there's a fight here. I guess it just so happened that Guan Yu is here and then team decided to go for it. But there's much less sync, right? Team fight happened pretty spontaneously. There's the communication, there are a lot of communication errors, I would say, right? The team is kind of off sync. They're not on the same page, where there is a gap between when Guan Yu engage and Zhang Fei follow up, or that way around. To be honest, over here, there just shouldn't be committing that many skills to begin with, because what's the point of doing this? This is 4 minutes into the game. You can't really, on top of it, they're doing it onto Yu Huan, right? And Luna, who can get away fairly easily. They don't really have some hard lock skills For example, because if you try to go on Luna as Guan Yu, it's really easy. Luna actually counter Guan Yu in a lot of ways because you can cancel Guan Yu's, running or the passive fairly easily. On top of the fact that Luna can do double dash and just gets away, even wasting her ultimate. Not to mention Yu Huan ultimate render her completely invincible. You can untargetable. So committing this many skills to 2 targets that's really hard to commit to is kind of odd, right? Look at this. This is exactly what I mentioned, right? Luna just gets away when he sees Guan Yu comes in. He can't even get touched, and Yu Huan just activate ultimate, and he's fine. So it's good to go, right? And then all they have to do is back away a little bit and clear wave again. So I've noticed that there's a lot of spontaneous team fight just because, I'm in position, we can do something, but not just because you're in position. Like, what's the end goal of this team fight? And that's one major difference I mentioned earlier in this video, which is KPL team fight frequently happen for a clear objective. Not frequently, always happen for a clear objective. It's either to invade enemy jungle, the objective invade, or it's happening because of tower push, or most frequently, the big clash team fights, the bigger clashes happen because of major objective like Tyrant, Shadow Tyrant, or Shadow Overlord, or not to mention Tempest Dragon, right? Those major objectives are the major reason for bigger size, bigger skill team fights, 5v5s, those really, really good team fights. But other than that, most of the other fights, they're very little death, they're very little, I would say, major clashes. It's more of a trading on skills, where MKL is a lot of commitment, right off the bat. So again, Weipid wastes his ultimate here because, the shenanigans in the mid lane, right? All right, let's take a look at this team fight one more time. First of all, before a fight begins, let's analyze the minimap, right? The position of both teams. In the mid lane, there are 5 people coming out from BSC, and then for Nova, they only have 3 people here. They do not have a clear engage. Their clear engage is only Mai Shiranui, right? I think Zheng Fei is one of like a better characters to peel because it can push people away from your carry. But relying on him to engage is really difficult. And also, Fei is really good at zoning. When you push a tower, you have Fei's ultimate, you can push defending targets away. Similar to using Lu Bu's ultimate, right? But in this scenario, look at 3 people here, right? Not to mention this is a Da Qiao. It's not even a major character. Let's say if there's a Luna in here and you quickly jump down a Luna and you CC lock him with Fei's ultimate, with Duan's not even there. Sorry, my bad. Channel's knockup. That's understandable, but it's a tanky Da Qiao, right? I mean, if they look at Da Qiao's item, Da Qiao only have a tank support item that gives HP and it boosts her resistance. So she can do fairly well against Mai's engage, the pushes or whatnot. And you can see right here that he just kind of walked away, even though he was tanking the full combo. But there was no follow-up because Channel have to get away. The entire BSC is right here. There's no reason for this engage. And because of Nova did that, Windy, they get counter-invaded. They get counter-engaged by Xiang, who was in position, right? That's why it's very, very important before you engage, it shouldn't be this spontaneous. You should get a better understanding of where enemy team are. Just because you see someone coming out, most likely it's a bait in the most competitive Honor of King that you watch, right? Because if you don't know where enemy team is, you should always assume, by the way, this is Murphy's Law, you should always assume the worst will happen. So in this scenario, they didn't assume the worst will happen, right? They see a Da Qiao, well, this girl is pretty. So they just went in, and it's kind of, that's where everything went to hell, right? Duan wasn't even there to make it. So like a 3v5 situation, and you engage in a 3v5, all hell would break loose. And because of that fight, they lost a lot of objectives. They lost the mid-tier 1 tower, and then they lost the kill onto Windy, which is a mid laner. Very, very important mid laner because that's where most of the CC come from. At the same time, I mentioned earlier, right? JR position in teamfight like to be separated. It's not like one team doing one thing. JR frequently does his own thing, or the support or the team is just not in position to help. Where you watch DRG versus all gamers, right? AG in the KPL Grand Final, the roam and the marksman has this unspoken. Well, in their case, they're speaking to each other quite frequently. Have this really good synergy. They're always buddy mode. I wouldn't say always buddy mode, but they're always in sync with each other. Let's put it that way. In this scenario, look at JR's position. JR is pushing mid against Channel, whereas the entire team from BSC has already been called to go to the top side for CY, right? I think the call here, I don't know the exact reason for that. Maybe just call CY. There was no objective to follow that. It was just to call CY because there's no minion wave for top tier 2 either, right? There's no minion wave here. There's no minion wave anywhere. So you have right after the mid tier 1 tower, which they already took right now. The right thing to do is JR following the team, following Da Qiao, following his mid laner to go top together. But instead, you have a separation. You have JR on his own, and obviously giving Guan Yu the opportunity, Xuan the opportunity to then find an easy flank on the back line, right? And JR got killed. Because JR got killed, now the team fight is again a chaotic team fight, right? You have Xuan now chasing everybody else. You just don't know like what's going on anymore. Like it's all over the place. There are frequently 2, 3 battlefields happening at once. And on top of it, as I mentioned, the carry position is frequently exposed. If you're playing a marksman or a mage and you're frequently getting reached by the enemy, I would say clash lane or middle lane even, that's a problem. That's something that you have to focus on yourself. It's not really a team problem anymore. It's more, I would say part of it's still team problem, communication and one team doing one thing. But it's more of a player problem, player issue, right? Because also if you watch KPL, if you happen to understand Chinese, if a mage somehow landed a skill onto the marksman, that's something noteworthy for the caster to be excited about. That stuff is not something that we're excited about here, right? In MKL, when I watch, it just happened because the marksman's position is frequently exposed. And that's something that needs to be changed for sure, need to be improved on. And the target focus is a little bit off sync, right? There's, as I mentioned, there are frequently 2 to 3 battlefields happening at once, which results in nobody getting killed or nobody getting shredded, right? Because this one-on-one is not gonna work that well. Whereas, let's watch a KPL team fight right here. There is one team doing one thing, number one, and carry position is very less exposed, and there's very objective based. And I can only find team fights surrounding objectives, right? That's why I mentioned it's very objective based. So in this scenario, AG is doing the Shadow Tyrant. It's a 10 minutes, right? And also it's very poke, opportunist, you know? What I mean by opportunist means like, the carry player, just because they see an opportunity, doesn't mean they go in right away. They will wait frequently until like really everything's ready. They're really, really patient. More patient than you can imagine. Like a lot more patient than me for sure. I think that's a competitive discipline any player need to have in the highest level, right? That's what make the players so good. Let's take a look at this. Take a look at the Shadow Tyrant. First, AG pulled the Tyrant towards the top side, which tells me their retreat path is going to be a little bit closer to the top side, mid to top side, closer to the mid tier 1 tower. They still have the protection there, so pulling it over here makes a lot of sense. But again, the standard 4-1 formation, you have 4 people on this side and have that Byron on the side, similar to the Dharma, right? I was going to say Chinese name, but similar to the Dharma, right? From DRG side, also on the side, a 4-1 formation. So both teams are using the same similar formation, but now you notice that Duan is coming in, right? Duan is right here. He's about to come into the Shadow Tyrant. And AG also noticed the Huayuan. Sorry, I'm speaking Chinese name again. Dharma is on the right side. They immediately backs away. The entire team backs away, right? Look at this. I don't know why it's 2x now. I'm gonna go back to 1. Okay, so they're pulling the Shadow Tyrant to the top side, which is fine. That's what they decided to do. Immediately noticed that this player to come in. They quickly pull the objective off, right? Off aggro. So this way they can focus on team fight. And now all of a sudden you have 5 people focused on a team fight. And they do not go for Dharma, do mind you, okay? You see how Dharma is on this side, like right under the Tyrant? The entire team is only going for Duan in the front, right over here, right? This is gonna be the battlefield. And you notice all 5 of them are rushing towards this 2 target. They drop the Tyrant and they go for this 2 target. There's only 1 target they're focusing on, and that's gonna be that front line, right? Dharma, no one ignored. Who cares, right? Yeah, Byron used an enhanced knockup with the flash and just one-shotted the Zhaodian. Oh my goodness, this is quite crazy. Yixing, right? Like I'm trying to think about it, converting Chinese name and English name back and forth. It's by the way, EWC, all players' name and character names will be in English, so that's good. But for the sake of this video, we're still gonna suffer the Chinese English conversion. All right, let's take a look, right? All 5 of them are rushing towards these 2 targets. And it goes on them, one-shotted Yixing, right? Now, Byron is in the front. Notice that he's tanking quite a bit, and the entire team now is supporting him. Entire team is supporting this side. You do have Eno focusing on the back line slightly, right? While the front line is just have nowhere to go. Look at this, right? He's now poking the back line a little bit. But everybody else still focused on, majority of the team is still focused on these 2 targets. Just doing in the front. You know, you have Dharma comes in, but it's a little bit too late because AG have such a good target focus and they're able to get a kill. But Dharma still did it really well, by the way. You know, Dharma find the opportunity to try to get to the back line. He got 3 people onto the wall. Sadly, AG took the initiative and won this team fight. You know, but notice this entire team fight. You don't have the position on Yinluo to ever be reached, right? Same as Ziya, they're heavily on the back. Look, they're poking here. They notice the team will come in. Look at Ziya. He activated ultimate right here, right? And he already walked way far back. Look at this Ziya right here. And Channel, obviously having the skill 1 that he has, where it allows him to jump over wall, he is ready. Like, he also moved further back, closer to where Ziya is. This 2 is almost untouchable in most of the team fights. Their position is really hard to reach for Dharma. You know, so that's why Dharma is having such a hard time. So the fact that he got 3 people onto the wall was already kind of insane. But he ended up dying. So everybody else died after that. Immediately after that, I want to mention, right? This is how AG took advantage and convert that to win, teamfight win into objectives. They take mid tier 1 tower together as a team, right? 4 people that still remains. They got the tower, and then you have Byron and as well as Aguro going for the Shadow Overlord. Meanwhile, you have Channel as well as the support coming to the Shadow Tyrant. They're doing the 2 objectives at once. So this is not very often happen. You can get this 2 objectives at once. This is very rare. So it doesn't happen that often. You know, so shout out to AJ for winning that team fight and getting the 2 Tyrant, waiting for the last shot, getting the Shadow Overlord, getting the Overlord a little bit lower, right? And then securing the 2 objectives at once. So just beautiful. And now he's coming to steal the buff because they still have time for it. They got so much out of that 1 team fight, you know, just so much. Before that team fight, notice the gold, right? AG is 3,000 gold behind. Look at the top side, right? 3,000 gold behind. And after a team fight, they're able to completely even up the playing field and leverage that 1 win because they have 2 neutral objective buff on top of them. Quickly start pushing towers, right? No extra movement, just go for objectives. Now let's go back. Let's take a look at this fight, right? This is not really necessarily a team fight. It's more of a tower push maneuver coming out from BSE. They have 4 people on the bottom side. It was Da Qiao, so ultimately can teleport Luna to come in at any time. That's why Luna is pressuring the other side. That's the advantage you get with Da Qiao once you have Da Qiao on your team and you're in the lead. And that's what BSE have, right? So they have 4 people pushing bottom lane with Da Qiao, and then you have Luna pushing top. Look at immediately from Nova CY, right? When he see Direnjie by himself, his entire team already kind of get a vision. So this is what I mean by like just when you see a fight from MKL, they're immediately just a lot of commitment and a lot of engagement, a lot of heads-on fight. When you see somebody, okay, well, let me go in on them. This is very similar to me playing ranked, because that's what I do when I play ranked. When I see somebody, I like to go in. In competitive, this is very, very risky because, like, again, Murphy's Law, anything bad can happen, will happen. This is exactly what happened here, right? He went on to JR, possibly thinking that he's tanky, or like, well, I don't know what the reason for that, even though this is a 5v4 situation starting off. But because of what Dwin did, what CY did over there, he put them team in a position where they cannot fight anymore, right? Not to mention that you have Da Qiao coming in. Da Qiao ulted to send Musang King into the bottom lane. Now, but also when Musang King, this is not just Nova's issue, right? When Musang King shows up, he immediately goes into hero mode. Let me go do whatever to the entire side of Nova, right? By myself. But do mind you, he didn't have blue buff here, so he's running out of mana, and he still goes in. Like this is quite risky. I think that this is over the top of his head, right? He is probably like too passionate about this engage at this point. Like Musang King, by the way, love Musang King. He's really one of the most skilled, talented player in the entire Honor King global esports. But this over here is for sure just like playing rank mode. This is a TikTok. I'll call it TikTok moment, right? It's for sure a TikTok. There's no reason to do this. Like, what's the point of doing this to Zhang Fei, right? I think he's trying to force out Zhang Fei's ultimate. But if you get pushed on the wrong moment under a tower like that, especially without mana, this happens. And that's exactly what went down. It's very chaotic. It's chaotic on Nova side, it's chaotic on BSE side. Both sides is like committing mistakes. All right, you just made a mistake. Now it's my turn to make a mistake. Now, I don't want to be overly critical on MKL, but you can see the drastic difference between the two teams, right? The two games you watch right now. It's just like back and forth mistakes and who can make less mistakes, right? Watch this team fight, right? Now that because Mukbang team died, so the side of BSC is backing away. But they're backing away, and JR once again is a little bit separated, and he's too exposed. He's like too far ahead in the front, and thinking that he might be safe, but he's not really safe, right? He's fighting multiple targets. He's not fighting multiple targets, but to jump in front of assassin like this and thinking that you can kill is quite crazy, because the enemy team have 5 people coming. The right thing to do is not to be in this position. If you notice the difference on the channel played by Eno, right, from AG side, you will not find a position like this, right? This is way too risky without a way out, because you're playing a character that with 0 mobility, right? Literally, DNG has 0 mobility. To be in this position against like this many targets, it's quite crazy, right? JR got caught again. This is the second time you get caught alone, and with no way for BSC to help, to support. All right, so let's take a look at this KPL team fight, right? So one last team fight we'll analyze in this video. So in this particular team fight here, look at the position. First, KPL is heavily focused on opportunity and position, right? You have 4 people here and poke, and you have Byron hiding in this bush, right? So you have a 4-1 formation one more time, and then let's see how they execute it, right? Byron just hiding in that bush, not moving. And when he sees the people come in, he calls to his entire team. Look at the entire team now. They start moving towards Byron's position. And Byron immediately used ultimate, leveraging his shield to start moving backwards. He's not really fighting 4 people alone, right? There's no like, okay, let me see, just because I saw the marksman coming in, I should fight this guy. I can one-shot. There's not too much hero play coming from KPL, right? Like, look at this. He noted, by the way, Byron does insane amount of damage to a backline carry, especially as squishy as Arlie. So when Arlie walked close to the bush, his immediate reaction is walking back, right? Calling to his team. And once the team arrives, that's when they started fighting. And even then, there was not really too much fight. It was just zoning because he gets a lot of vision on a DRG. So the call was to get the Shadow Tyrant. So they had a channel doing the Shadow Tyrant all by himself, and everybody else tried to zone and mostly protect Byron to get out of there, right? This is a 4v5 fight. And Byron, I would say over here is a little bit overextending, but look at, it gives Dharma an opportunity. But Dharma walks in, he found himself completely alone. And immediately after Byron walked into this blue buff, look what happens, right? The mistake are very short-lived. He went in, tried to steal the buff or whatnot, and then immediately dash or flash out of it, right? He's not fighting 4 people in this side, just to make sure they target focus 1 enemy at a time. So in this case, this is the frontline Dharma who engaged on him, right? I would say Dharma engaged well, but when he engaged, the team wasn't ready to follow up. The entire team was fighting the Byron on the one side. So there was a miscommunication happening from DRG for sure. Meanwhile, AG took advantage of that. But 5 people on one target at once, right? There's no overextension. It's just like poking and looking for opportunities. Poking, looking for opportunities. And Channel's position is never exposed, right? Channel is really hard to reach. There's very little opportunity for you to get the kills on the Channel. So because they got a kill on Dharma, I think now they're pushing for the end right here. It's 5v4. They're gonna leverage the opportunity, waiting for minion wave to just force the win on this game. So there you go. That's the difference that I see. I mean, that's the video for KPL and MKL. I would say some of the best teams in HoK Global for now. Right? What do y'all think about the 4 areas? Is there some other areas that you think that global region can improve on as soon as possible for the upcoming Esports World Cup? Or is there some areas that you think that HoK Global is doing even better? Because we are playing a different meta, right? HoK Global have a different version of the game compared to KPL. So EWC, I wouldn't say there's inherent version advantage, but for sure it's going to be exciting to watch because we still have about a month and a half before the match start happening. Not to mention the playoff the KPL teams are not really joining. The Chinese team is not joining. They're joining. Sorry, what I meant is the Chinese team are joining the playoff directly. They're not joining the group stage. So there's gonna be a lot of exciting matches happening in EWC, guys. I'm for sure excited about it. Hopefully you are as well. Leave a comment down below. With that, Assassin Dave signing off. I'll see you guys all next time, if there is next time.